The collapse will not announce itself. It will arrive without warning, silent, surgical, and absolute. Pharmacies will empty before you process what's happening. Hospitals will overflow in hours. Supply chains will fracture overnight. And in that vacuum, a simple wound, a minor infection, or a single burn will become a threat capable of ending you. That is the reality civilians never see coming. You will not make their mistake. When modern medicine disappears, you become the medic, the defense, and the last line keeping yourself alive. Panic is what eliminates the unprepared. Precision is what keeps you functional. And precision begins with understanding a principle most people learn too late. You cannot depend on systems that collapse under stress. The grid fails. The shelves empty. The world locks down. But the right plants, tough plants, stay operational when everything else dies. Your mission is simple. Build biological assets that regenerate, self-sustain, and require nothing from a world that can no longer support you. These plants form a silent medical infrastructure that cannot be stolen, cannot be hoarded by others, and cannot be cut off by the chaos outside. They keep producing when supply chains stop. They keep healing when hospitals no longer exist. 7 hard-to-kill plants. 7 strategic tools designed to eliminate your dependency on a system already cracking. Grow them now, before crisis forces your hand. Because when the world fails, the only medicine you can rely on is the medicine you've already prepared. Resilience is not convenience. It is the requirement that separates a functioning survivor from a future casualty. When the world destabilizes, anything fragile becomes a liability. Tools, systems, even the people who depend on them. Your medicinal resources are no exception. This is why you do not choose delicate plants, high-maintenance gardens, or anything that demands precision care. In collapse conditions, precision is a luxury you will not have. Hard-to-kill plants operate on a different level. They survive drought, neglect, poor soil, fluctuating temperatures, and months of environmental stress. They don't need you. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They continue producing healing compounds even when you are moving, fortifying, or hiding. That reliability is what turns them from plants into strategic assets. When the grid goes dark, water becomes scarce, and supply lines fail, you need medicine that stays operational without input. Every cut, infection, burn, bite, or illness becomes a tactical threat. Hard-to-kill plants counter those threats automatically by staying alive, growing, and regenerating faster than you can exhaust them. Civilians treat plants as decoration. You treat them as infrastructure, quiet, renewable, and invisible to anyone who doesn't know what they're looking at. A system the collapse cannot interrupt. A supply chain no one can steal. This is the rule. The more your medicine survives on its own, the more you survive when everything else stops. Aloe vera is your frontline medic, silent, durable, and operational even when every modern treatment disappears. It survives heat, drought, neglect, and conditions that would wipe out weaker plants. You can vanish for weeks, return, and aloe will still be standing, storing more medicinal power than most people keep in their entire first aid kits. That endurance is what makes it indispensable. Its gel is a tactical asset. In any collapse, burns become common. Open flames, improvised stoves, fuel mishaps. Cuts multiply from debris, broken structures, and constant manual labor. Infections spread faster without sanitation. Aloe counters all of it. The gel cools, burns, accelerates skin repair, and forms a protective barrier over wounds. It reduces inflammation, soothes irritation, and provides moisture when your skin cracks under harsh conditions. Every function delays infection, buys you recovery time, and keeps you operational. Aloe also regenerates with speed. You harvest a leaf, it grows back. You divide the plant, it creates more. You build a renewable medical supply with almost no effort. It performs quietly, requires minimal water, and thrives indoors or outdoors. Ideal for stealth growing when OPSEC matters. In a world where a small wound can escalate into a life-threatening problem, aloe vera becomes more than a plant. It becomes insurance. It is the difference between a temporary setback and a downward spiral, and it stays alive long after everything else stops. Tulsi is your respiratory shield, a plant designed by nature to protect the systems that collapse first in any crisis. Smoke from fires, dust from debris, mold from damp shelters, and pathogens circulating through unfiltered air all attack your lungs long before your body has time to adapt. Most people don't notice the damage until they're already weakened. You will not be one of them. Tulsi keeps your airways functional when the environment turns hostile. This plant survives heat, erratic watering, poor soil, and long periods of neglect. It doesn't need constant attention to produce medicinal compounds. It grows fast, seeds easily, and stays alive where other herbs fail. Tulsi is built for instability, which makes it built for you. Its power lies in its dual defense, internal and environmental. When consumed, Tulsi reduces inflammation, supports immunity, and calms the stress response that overwhelms the untrained during prolonged crisis. A clear mind and stable breathing are not luxuries. They are operational requirements. Tulsi strengthens both. But even untouched, the plant works. Its volatile oils naturally purify the surrounding air, lowering microbial presence and creating a cleaner breathing zone around your shelter. That passive protection is invaluable when infrastructure disappears and contamination becomes constant. Civilians see Tulsi as a sacred herb. Survivors see it as lung armor, simple, silent, and impossible to replace once the world collapses. You plant it early, protect it, and let it guard the one system you cannot afford to lose: your breath. Survival is a mental war before it becomes a physical one. Your body can endure more than you think, but your mind, fogged, stressed, or unfocused, will get you killed long before exhaustion does. Rosemary is the countermeasure. It is a cognitive blade designed to keep your awareness sharp when crisis grinds everyone else into confusion. This plant thrives where fragility dies. Poor soil, scorching heat, cold nights, irregular watering, none of it breaks rosemary. It stands firm, grows slowly but steadily, and becomes a long-term asset that asks for nothing while giving you everything. That resilience alone earns its place in your survival arsenal. But its true value is neurological. Rosemary's oils and compounds elevate alertness, sharpen memory, and clear the mental haze caused by stress, hunger, and sleep disruption. Rub its leaves, inhale its scent, brew it into a tea. Each method triggers clarity. In the field, clarity means faster decisions, fewer mistakes, better threat detection. When others misjudge danger, you see it coming. When others freeze, you move. A collapse environment is full of mental traps: fatigue, panic, sensory overload. Rosemary cuts through them, helping regulate breathing and stabilizing your cognitive rhythm. A controlled mind makes controlled choices, and controlled choices are what keep you alive when every variable outside your shelter is unpredictable. Rosemary doesn't draw attention. It looks like an ordinary garden shrub, blending into landscaping and hiding in plain sight. That makes it an ideal low-profile asset. High value, zero suspicion. Civilians use rosemary for flavor. You will use it to stay dangerous, disciplined, and mentally present. In a world where hesitation becomes fatal, rosemary ensures your mind remains your sharpest weapon. When the world destabilizes, your digestive system becomes one of the first internal battlefields. Contaminated water, irregular meals, stress, and sudden dietary shifts attack the gut with precision. A single episode of nausea, cramping, or diarrhea can strip your strength, drain your hydration, and disable your decision-making. In survival terms, losing control of your gut means losing operational capability. Mint prevents that collapse. Mint is a biological stabilizer, fast-growing, aggressive, and nearly impossible to kill. Poor soil, harsh sun, deep shade, inconsistent watering, mint absorbs the abuse and spreads anyway. Once rooted, it multiplies into a living supply line that demands nothing and produces constantly. In a crisis, that reliability becomes priceless. Its cooling compounds calm the stomach, ease cramps, reduce bloating, and steady the internal rhythm of digestion. When stress shuts down appetite, mint reopens it. When bad water or spoiled food triggers discomfort, mint controls the reaction before it cascades into dehydration. A simple handful brewed into hot or cold infusion buys you stability, something few resources can provide when conditions deteriorate. Mint also reinforces your perimeter. Its strong scent repels mosquitoes, ants, and other pests that thrive in collapse environments and carry disease. Plant it near entry points, sleeping areas, or food stores, and it becomes passive biodefense without revealing your hand. In high-stress moments, mint regulates breathing and interrupts the panic spiral that sabotages judgment. You cannot think, move, or defend effectively if adrenaline takes command of your system. Mint helps you take that command back. Civilians treat mint as a garnish. You will treat it as internal armor, guarding your hydration, your strength, and your ability to stay in the fight. A stable gut is a stable survivor. Mint makes sure you stay both. Garlic is not seasoning. It is an antibiotic arsenal, one of the few natural weapons that remains effective when every pharmacy shelf is stripped bare. In collapse conditions, infection becomes the new apex predator. A minor cut can escalate. A respiratory irritant can deepen into illness. A contaminated drink can incapacitate you for days. Modern antibiotics will vanish within hours of crisis. Garlic is the countermeasure that keeps you from becoming another statistic. This plant is built for endurance. Harsh cold, brutal heat, poor soil, inconsistent watering, garlic adapts to all of it. Each clove becomes a new plant, and each plant multiplies into a renewable supply. You plant it once, it becomes a system. You don't maintain garlic, you deploy it, and it expands its own territory. In survival, assets that reproduce themselves without technology are worth more than gold. Its strength comes from allicin, a compound released when garlic is crushed or chopped. Allicin is a biochemical strike against bacteria, fungi, and certain viruses. When applied correctly, it helps inhibit infection on minor wounds. When consumed, it reinforces the immune system, supports cardiovascular function, and reduces inflammation. 3 biological defenses that collapse quickly under stress, malnutrition, and exhaustion. Garlic keeps those defenses online. It also stores exceptionally well. Once cured, bulbs last for months with no refrigeration. They sit silently in baskets, buried caches, or hidden compartments, waiting until you need them. While manufactured medicine expires, garlic remains stable. While antibiotics run out, garlic multiplies. This reliability makes it one of the few long-term medical assets civilians overlook but survivors depend on. Garlic is also naturally low profile. A patch of garlic draws no attention from scavengers who search for food, fuel, or tools. Yet this inconspicuous plant holds enough medicinal potential to alter the outcome of close calls, infections, and winter illnesses. In a world reverting to pre-antibiotic danger levels, infection becomes one of the fastest killers. Garlic is not optional. It is required. Grow it early, protect it, and let it expand into the quiet medical arsenal that keeps you alive when the world stops supplying cures. Lemongrass is your perimeter commander, an environmental defense system disguised as a simple plant. In any collapse scenario, insects become more than a nuisance. They become vectors for disease, contamination, and sleepless nights that erode your operational readiness. Stagnant water, uncollected waste, and abandoned structures create breeding zones that multiply faster than you can react. Lemongrass pushes back. This plant thrives in heat, survives erratic watering, ignores poor soil, and regrows even after heavy cutting. It is built to endure the same instability you will face. Once established, it forms dense clusters that expand outward, creating a natural barrier that requires no fuel, no maintenance schedule, and no technology. That alone makes it a valuable asset, but its real tactical value lies in its oils, volatile compounds that repel mosquitoes, flies, and other disease-carrying pests. Crush a blade, and the scent activates instantly. Boil it, and you create a defensive vapor. Burn the dried stalks, and you push back insects over a wider perimeter. Every method strengthens your environmental control, something most survivors lose quickly in prolonged crisis. Lemongrass also doubles as an internal support. Brewed into tea, it aids digestion, reduces inflammation, and lowers mild fevers. In a world where clean water and consistent nutrition become uncertain, these benefits prevent small issues from turning into operational setbacks. The plant becomes both a shield and a stabilizer, external defense paired with internal reinforcement. Its structure makes it ideal for concealment. To an untrained eye, lemongrass looks like ornamental landscaping. Nothing worth stealing, nothing worth uprooting. This keeps your assets hidden in plain sight, preserving OPSEC without sacrificing effectiveness. Civilians plant lemongrass for aroma. You plant it to control your environment, deny insects access to your shelter, and secure the space where you sleep, cook, and recover. In the war against unseen threats, this plant becomes your first line of environmental defense. Turmeric is internal armor, slow-growing, unassuming, yet one of the strongest medicinal assets you can deploy when the world collapses. While other plants handle wounds, digestion, or air quality, turmeric goes deeper. It fortifies the systems that determine whether your body withstands long-term stress or breaks under it. In survival, durability is everything. Turmeric builds that durability from the inside out. The plant thrives in heat, humidity, and inconsistent care. Once rooted, it spreads beneath the soil, forming a hidden network of rhizomes that store medicinal compounds, even during harsh conditions. This underground structure makes it naturally protected from weather, scavengers, and accidental damage. Turmeric survives quietly, then returns stronger. Its power comes from curcumin, a potent anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial agent. In collapse scenarios, inflammation becomes a constant threat. Hard labor, poor sleep, contaminated environments, and stress overload your system. Joints swell, muscles ache, minor infections escalate. Turmeric counters these failures by reducing internal inflammation, supporting immune responses, and helping your body recover even when nutrition and rest are compromised. Taken regularly, turmeric sharpens resilience. It stabilizes the gut, supports liver function, and reinforces your internal defenses. When brewed with fat or pepper, its absorption increases, turning a simple root into a powerful survival tonic. Few natural compounds provide this level of systemic support. Its stealth is another advantage. To most people, turmeric looks like ginger, common, ordinary, forgettable. That makes it a perfect OPSEC plant. It raises no suspicion, attracts no scavengers, and hides its true value underground. Even if someone raids your visible garden, your turmeric supply remains intact below the surface. Civilians use turmeric for cooking. You will use it to maintain mobility, reduce inflammation, and keep your internal systems operational when constant strain threatens to break them. In prolonged crisis, survival favors the body that can endure. Turmeric ensures that body is yours. Growing these plants is not gardening, it is deployment, establishing a biological system that stays operational when infrastructure fails and movement becomes unpredictable. Your objective is not perfection, it is continuity. Each plant must survive without you, regenerate after stress, and remain concealed from anyone who might see value in what you've built. The less attention you give them, the more valuable they become, because anything that thrives under neglect will thrive during crisis. Start by positioning plants according to their resilience. Aloe near heat and sun where other plants die. Mint in shaded corners where moisture lingers. Lemongrass along boundaries to form natural barriers. Rosemary in poor soil where its roots can anchor long-term. Tulsi and turmeric in protected pockets where foot traffic won't damage them. Garlic scattered in multiple zones, so no single failure point wipes out your supply. A fragmented layout ensures redundancy, a core principle of survival. Never let all assets sit in one location. Watering must be minimal and inconsistent on purpose. Plants that depend on routine become liabilities. Plants that adapt become weapons. These medicinal species respond best to stress. Deep but infrequent watering, occasional pruning, and long periods of being left alone. Let them harden. Let them learn to live without you. The more they endure now, the more they protect you later. Keep soil simple. Collapse-proof growing means relying on what you already have. Basic dirt, compost scraps, ash, fallen leaves. No specialized mixes, no fragile amendments. Use containers, ground plots, hidden corners, and improvised planters. Diversity in placement reduces the risk of detection and preserves continuity if you must relocate. Harvest sparingly. Take only what you need so the plant continues producing indefinitely. Aloe leaves regrow, mint spreads relentlessly, garlic multiplies, turmeric expands underground, rosemary thickens with age. You're not extracting resources, you're sustaining a living system that feeds itself. In a crisis, movement becomes unpredictable. You may abandon shelter temporarily, shift positions, or fall back to a secondary location. Your plants must survive those absences. Deploy them with that reality in mind. Assume you may disappear for weeks. If the system collapses without you, it was never a survival system to begin with. This is the protocol. Build resilience now so you don't have to build it during chaos. Set the plants in motion, then let them operate on their own. Your role is not caretaker, it is commander. Once deployed, the system must run without oversight. Because when the world destabilizes, your attention will be on staying alive, not tending a garden. In any collapse, resources don't just run out, they get hunted. Food, fuel, medicine, Anything that offers an advantage becomes a target. If others learn you have a functioning medicinal system, you become the resource, and that shifts you from survivor to prey. Operational security is not optional. It is the shield between you and everyone who failed to prepare. Your medicinal plants must stay invisible, forgettable, and unremarkable to any outsider. Start by blending them into ordinary landscaping. Rosemary becomes a decorative shrub, lemongrass passes as ornamental grass, mint hides in shaded corners like a weed. Turmeric and garlic stay underground, where no one sees their value. Aloe looks like a houseplant. Tulsi resembles a common herb. To the untrained eye, your arsenal looks worthless. That's exactly the point. The best resources are the ones no one notices. Distribute your plants across multiple zones. Never cluster everything in one garden or one bed. A raider, a fire, or a natural event should never be able to wipe out your entire supply. Redundancy protects your future. A hidden pot on a rooftop, a shaded patch behind debris, containers tucked along walls, a few plants mixed into community green spaces where no one would suspect ownership. If one location is compromised, the others continue your lifeline. Avoid patterns. Ordered rows signal intent. Survival systems must look accidental, wild, scattered, and unimportant. Overgrown mint looks invasive, not valuable. A patch of lemongrass appears decorative, not strategic. Let nature disguise what you've built. Messiness becomes camouflage. Do not discuss your plants. Do not share your knowledge. Information spreads faster than desperation. You never reveal assets that keep you alive. In a destabilized world, trust is a currency you cannot afford to spend. Silence preserves advantage. Silence keeps threats blind. Your harvest must also be discreet. No large cuts, no sudden clearing. Take small amounts from multiple plants, leaving the overall structure unchanged. A visible wound on a plant signals human use, something a sharp observer might track. You want no signs, no trails, no proof of value. At night, avoid lights that illuminate your growing areas. Use low-profile tools. Never transport large bundles at once. Always act like you have nothing worth taking. In survival, strength is not just what you have. It's what others think you don't have. Your medicinal arsenal only works if it stays yours. OPSEC ensures exactly that. When collapse arrives, it will not reward strength, speed, or optimism. It will reward preparation, quiet, disciplined, unseen. The world will divide into two groups, those who planned ahead and those who beg the environment for mercy. You already know which group survives. These 7 plants are more than medicine. They are continuity. They are independence. They are the difference between relying on a broken system and becoming your own system. You deploy them now, not when the shelves are empty, not when infection sets in, not when stress breaks your judgment. By the time crisis hits, hesitation becomes fatal. Action must already be complete. These plants grow while others panic. They regenerate while others weaken. They stand guard when no one else will. Every leaf, root, and blade becomes a tool that keeps you operational long after the unprepared fall out of the fight. This is biological self-reliance. This is tactical survival. This is how you stay alive when the world stops protecting you. Grow them. Hide them. Trust them. They will still be standing when everything else is gone.